Hello, this is Jamie Maggart. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I'm going to use a different paper for the center candle, but I'm going to show you how I made this card. You can use any paper or colors you'd like, but let's get started. I'll show you what I used. It's a real simple project. I'm going to be using real red ink, the perennial flower punch, Rustic Retreat. I'm using the sentiment. I'm using some gold faceted gems. These are retired, but they make the perfect center. I'm going to be using this smallest of these double poinsettias here from Poinsettia Dies. I'm going to be using Christmas Layers dies, this sprig here. I've cut two of those small poinsettias out of Whisper White. Out of this sprig here, I've cut one out of the shaded spruce, one out of gold, and then I've cut this one into two pieces. And then out of gold, I've also die cut or punched out one of the perennial blooms, and then I've cut each one of those into three separated apart so that I would have, I'm going to use those as the flames on my candle. Okay, so for the candles I have a 1 1/4 by 3 inch rectangle of real red that I have run through the embossing folder. I've got to bring the paper, so let's see it. Greenery embossing folder. It's a 2 embossing folder set. I've already run them through just to save a little bit of time. Then I have a 1/4 inch square, also from Real Red. And then I have a 2 inch square of Designer Series paper. Now again, this is retired. It's from last Christmas. It's the Wrapped in Plaid, but you could use any paper you want. Like the paper on this original one was an old Designer Series paper also. I just pulled out a red out of my scrap stash. So let's get started. Let's put this together. For the card itself, I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White and a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of Real Red. And then my card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Let's put those aside. I'm going to go ahead and put these aside. And the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment. And where did my stamping mat go? Just had it here a second ago. There we go. I probably don't need it because it's a rubber stamp, but I like to use it every time. I get a much nicer stamped image when I have the mat underneath. Real Red. Look up the stamp. And I'm going to stamp this sentiment up here in this top corner. Down, let it set for a couple seconds. Perfect. Alright, that's all the stamping we're doing. The rest is all die cuts, but move this so that it doesn't get on anything. Alright. Let's bring in the poinsettia. We'll do that first. So I'm bringing the two pieces. I'm going to bring in my bone folder. I'm going to curl those petals a little bit. Again, punch them up in the middle. If you want, you can pinch them, to get a little bit more dimension on them. Do that on this one just so you can see both. Alright. Come on, pinch. There we go. So I'm just putting my fingers on both sides of it and pushing it, the edges down, so that I get a nice point at the tip. Okay. These ones up a little bit. Alright, then I'm going to glue those two together. A little bit of the tombow in the center. Offset the petals. Okay, then I'm going to bring in one of those gems. I'm going to use one of the large ones this time. They're hard to use, so oh, I like that. Okay, so there's the poinsettia. Alright, so now let's bring in these sprigs. Actually, I think I need to do the candles first. Okay, so let's just bring in those pieces. And I'm going to glue one of the, literally, I just cut this in, I'll show you, I'll put it back together. Just cut the one off. I left a little bit of tail here so I had something to glue, and then I cut the other one in half. That's how I made those. So I'm going to glue one of these candles to the back, or flames to the back of each one of these. And I'm going to use my bone folder first and give it just a little bit of a curl. That's just to make it appear to be actual rounded candle. So I'm just making sure I'm using the whole edge of the bone folder, not just the tip. Okay. I'm going to glue one of these flame pieces to the back of each candle. If you want to use a glue dot, it would work as well. I'm not using much glue at all. Okay, I'm going to bring in some dimensionals. Put dimensionals right in the center of the candles. Oops, that one didn't stay glued. There we go. And that's so when you put it on your card, it maintains that curve a little bit. Push your fingernail in, take those backs off. If you don't have a fingernail, use your bone folder. Just curls up those edges a little bit. Okay, I'm going to set it lightly, but I'm not going to put it, glue it firmly yet. I'm just going to set it. It's about 1/2 inch from the edge and 1/2 inch from the bottom. Could be a little higher, it doesn't matter. And this one's wider than my original. I just like the appearance of it a little. It's actually probably a little shorter than the other one as well. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to double up on these dimensionals because I like how curved that is. So I want this to be a little bit higher. one down there. Whoops, I made it crooked. Straighten out. There we go. And this one. We'll go down here. Okay. Now we're going to take our leaves. I'm going to start with this one. And this one's going to get tucked like this. So part of it's going to go behind this bottom sprig, and part of it's going to go on top. And this one is going to get turned upside down. And again, most of it's going to be on top. This little bit over here is going to get tucked underneath. Right there. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and glue this down. So I'm just going to put little dots of the glue on the back of each one of those leaves. You just want little dots. You don't not want much at all. Oops. If you'd rather use the sponge and the glue that way, do that, or use the sticker sheets on the back. I just like it this way. Okay, so it goes this way. It's going to get glued down here at the bottom. Okay. We're going to take our poinsettia and we're going to put a dimensional on the back of it. And we're going to put it down right here, right on top of all of that sprig. Okay, now this is going to get adhered to our real red piece. There's going to be an 1/8 of an inch border because it's just an 1/8 of an inch larger, so 1/16 of an inch border. And this is going to go on the front of the card. It's really not difficult. The hardest part is the greenery. Well, there we go. There's a card we just made together. You can use any papers you want, any sizes. It's just a little bit fun. And there's the one I did previously. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. I think this is a good one to use up scraps with. Just whatever scraps you have. Well, thanks. Have a great day.